Hey guys, and welcome. I'm not gonna lie, I was pretty salty throughout the Halo Infinite campaign after Atriox's alleged death at the very beginning of the game, or as we were told anyway by Escharum. A badass character like Atriox being killed off screen in a Halo game that we've waited 6 years for after the absolutely amazing introduction to him within Halo Wars 2. I was so hyped to maybe have a full campaign around Atriox, but when I heard that he died off screen, I was ready for war. However, when we see Atriox at the end of the Halo Infinite campaign during the legendary ending, or just the ending in general, alive and well, different coloured hair, a scar down the left hand side of his face, he looks like he's been through hell. However, this opens the door massively for some insane DLC theories, and I have some really good ones to share in this video. Now, I do want to pitch an idea for DLC which I would love to see 343 look into or explore in some capacity. This involves the Endless, of course, the Flood's return into Halo Infinite, and Atriox working together with the Chief and humanity to fight against the Flood and the Endless. Sounds crazy, right? But actually, no, not really, and I think this theory really does stand its ground. It makes a lot of sense from a canon and lore perspective, and again, we've seen this similar in Halo 2, and Halo 3 for that matter, where the Arbiter and the Chief were battling against each other and we were looking at different perspectives throughout the entirety of that game, when going into Halo 3 where they had an alliance together to fight towards what was right. They didn't necessarily like each other, they weren't best friends at the time, they were doing what was right for their people. I think Atriox is this exact same way. He's a soldier at heart that just wants the best for himself and his faction, the Banished, and if that means working with humanity, I don't think that's a big problem. It's even mentioned in some books and some lore that Atriox welcomes humanity or humans to join the Banished if they will follow his will and they share the same beliefs as him. Obviously, it isn't common for that to happen, but it's a possibility if they prove to him their will and their allegiance to the Banished. So yeah, take that into consideration when listening to the theory. But future DLC that can take the Arbiter in Chief nostalgia and turn it up to 1000%. I love the Arbiter as much as the next Halo fan, but man, you've got to admit, charging into battle with Atriox by your side, with this red gravity hammer glowing in the dark, man, it would just be absolutely epic. And this theory, I actually really do hope that it comes true, or at least some capacity of it. Before we get into today's video, guys, do let me know down below what you want to see come to Halo Infinite DLC. How do you want to play it out from the legendary ending going into DLC 1, 2 and 3? Would you fight against the Banished and the Endless throughout the entirety of the 10-year plan of Halo Infinite? Or have a huge plot twist and have a character like Atriox fight alongside the Chief and humanity in order to try and take down the Endless and the Flood? Let me know your thing down below, guys, but don't forget to drop a like if you do go ahead and enjoy the video, it'd be much appreciated, and subscribe for more daily Halo content going pretty much every single day. Do consider ringing that notification bell as well, just below the like button, to be notified when a video does go live, and yeah, you'll be the first one to get the scoop. But guys, without further ado, let's get straight into it. In the legendary ending of the campaign, we see that Atriox frees the Endless in an unknown location, but again, DLC 1 will give us some more information around this. His motivation to do this is currently unknown and will most likely be fleshed out within the likes of DLC 1, and I can imagine the very beginning of DLC 1. But I have a feeling that he's trying to recruit them into the Banished. Why else would Atriox release them? And to be honest, there aren't many reasons that I can think of. Maybe there's something that's being kept from us, or that it's meant to be a secret as to why it's happened, but Atriox was very interested in the secrets of the ring, and maybe he found out about them, and maybe he found out what the Endless had done and the reason why they were imprisoned, and felt like they would be a good addition to the Banished and that they would be the most powerful faction in the universe. Maybe Atriox found out about the Forerunners' lies and understand that the Endless are in fact the rightful holders of the Mantle of Responsibility, so maybe a bargaining tool to when he releases the Endless will be that if they join the Banished, they will help them regain the Mantle from humanity. Now, this right now is the only thing that I can think of that would make the Endless want to join the Banished. I mean, why would they want to join the Banished? If they can survive the blast of a Halo ring, why would they want a load of neglected Covenant soldiers and join their army? It just doesn't really add up to me. So there's got to be some form of pull for the Endless to join the Banished, and I think the Atriox will use the Mantle as that pull. However, with the Endless being remnants of Precursors, and of course the Flood and the Gravemind being the remnants of the Primordial, which are essentially the same thing, the theory of the Endless being immune to the Flood might not be as far-fetched as we initially thought. I'm going to share my theory with you now on what I would love to see and how I think the story is going to play out. And just by going from the lore and the canon of Halo Infinite, this is how I think the story is going to play out that makes the most sense. This would open the story up massively, spanning over multiple DLCs and just make our jaws drop. And as you see by the thumbnail, recreating one of the most iconic moments in Halo history. So, you know how we found that one Silex in the bottom of Zeta Halo, segregated from the rest in the first few missions, which contained a Flood infection form? Well, this is going to play a huge part in the Halo Infinite DLC, and is teased to us massively in the base game, of course, with that Silex being in one separate room compared to all of the other Silexes on the other side of this one room. So yeah, really interesting around that as well. Just have a think about this for me. What if the Harbinger was using the Banished? What if the Banished thought that they were getting the better end of the stick? However, really, the Endless are putting them and the galaxy in grave danger without them actually knowing at the time. Let me explain what I mean by this. The Harbinger and the Endless are remnants of the Precursors, and there's a lot of evidence in game to prove this. The Harbinger speaks the exact words as the Gravemind in Halo 2, and the exact same tone. Now I shall talk, and you shall listen. This was found in one of the audio logs that we found in game, and of course this is a cutscene in Halo 2. I'll play the two side by side now just so you can understand what I mean by this.
Now I shall talk, and you shall listen.
Now listen to the Harbinger in the audio log.
I shall talk, and you shall listen.
And of course at the end of the game she was communicating with something that was extremely old, which the weapon couldn't detect. And throughout the entirety of the game, she always spoke about the Forerunner's lies, and we don't really know what those are at the moment, but again, there's canon in the game which would suspect that we know what they are, which is around the mantle. The Forerunners were due to be wiped out by the Precursors, however, before they could do this, the Forerunners found out about their plan and decided to retaliate against that, and again, do the same to them, claiming the rights to take over the mantle of responsibility. The Forerunners passed the mantle down to humanity, who currently hold it, better known as the Reclaimers. And this is why the Reclaimers can only access Forerunner technology and open up things like Silexes and of course activate the firing and the reformation of Halo rings. This is why the Banished had to capture a UNSC member, Lucas Browning, to open the Silex containing the Harbinger and the Skimmers, as a Reclaimer was needed to do this. The Harbinger knows that the mantle should be held by the Endless, and once they're freed, they will retain their rights and fight for the mantle. However, this will be a difficult task coming off the back of Halo Infinite. Of course, the ring is now back in the UNSC's control, and we're starting to regain our place in the fight by defeating the Banished forces. Atriox, somehow, we don't know at this point, freed the Endless from containment, but I'm hoping that this will be fleshed out in DLC 1. But when free, what if the Endless weren't the ones just fighting us? Their only motivation when being freed is to 1. Revenge on the Forerunners, and 2. To retain the ownership of the mantle of responsibility from humanity. The Endless are Reclaimers, meaning that they can access whatever part of the ring that they need at any given time. What if the Endless were freed by Atriox and the Banished, activated the Flood Silex below the ring, and fought alongside the Flood against humanity and the Banished? Again, to do this, the Flood kind of want the same thing. They are, in quotation marks, the next evolution of the galaxy or the universe. So, and of course, they are the remnants of the Precursors. So, having the Endless fight alongside them, who again are also remnants of the Precursors, it makes sense for them to be fighting for the same thing. The Endless can't be infected by the Flood. Again, we don't know the ins and outs of this, of course, because again, all of this is speculation, but I presume it would be something to do with their nervous system and them not having one. Of course, the Flood infect the nervous system of a host, and that's how they become a Flood infection form or even a Flood combat form. However, maybe it could all just be as simple as that they're both remnants of Precursors, so they don't really work when one's trying to infect the other, if that makes sense. So, I don't know. Let me know what you think down below of that though, guys. So again, the Endless can't be infected, so the Flood are nothing to the Endless, but to humanity and the Banished, they're a massive threat. And also to the remaining of the universe or the galaxy. There are up to 10 proto-Gravemind enchambered somewhere in Zeta Halo that, again, we don't know the locations of at the moment. Maybe this Silex doesn't just contain infection forms, but an actual proto-Gravemind. The story doesn't just stop there, guys. This is where it gets a little bit crazy, and this is where it may become a little bit far-fetched, but of course, we're all open to that on this channel. The Endless betray Atriox by releasing the Flood and going against him. Atriox fights his way out and manages to get to safety. What if after this, the Banished and humanity, Atriox and the Chief, form an alliance with one another to fight against the Endless and the Flood, like they did in Halo 2 with the Arbiter. Having become your companion, could you imagine playing a mission on a campaign as Atriox trying to get away from the Endless and the Flood, to then sooner or later on the campaign have them working together? Then maybe in DLC 3 or DLC 2, that's when we see Atriox and the Chief fight with each other. How mad would that be? I think Atriox is such a badass character, and from his motivations from the Banished, his story doesn't make him seem like a dick. He's a brute who was meant to be killed off after being sent on multiple suicide missions, in which he returned from, later to be betrayed by the Prophets and came out on top, forming his own army, the Banished. A soldier that wants the best for his army, and now his homeworld has been destroyed by Cortana, he wants the Banished to fight to be the most powerful faction in the universe and start fight for survival, to do what they need to do to control Zeta Halo. Maybe they both put their differences to one side, as again they're essentially fighting for survival and fighting for the same cause, as they know that if either one's army becomes infected, it will be catastrophic to the galaxy, and of course if the Flood leave the ring, it could be game over. Guys, let me know what you think down below in the comments of this, but if this sets up DLC 1 and DLC 2, I think we're in for a fucking awesome ride. I mean, from new lore, new content, wow. Imagine playing as a DLC as Atriox, or something along those lines. I don't think that will happen. I mean, maybe they'll do something similar, because again, everyone loves playing as the Arbiter in Halo 2. Maybe that they're going to follow a similar path. Maybe in DLC 1, we play the game from a perspective of Atriox, of how he got to release the Endless, the first storyline of obviously fighting with the Endless, and again maybe being betrayed by the Endless, and then obviously the Flood being released, him fighting against it, him getting away, him seeing a lot of his army being turned into Flood, again similar to what was done in Halo Wars. And then of course maybe at the end of DLC 1, that's where we see Chief and Atriox form a bond together like the Arbiter and Chief did to fight against the Endless and the Flood. Maybe that's it. Maybe I'm looking way too far into it, but how fucking sick would that be? But guys, what do you think? What do you think of my theory, and what do you think we'll see in the future for Halo Infinite DLC? I would absolutely love to see some crazy plot twists. Not necessarily playing as Atriox, but just alongside him, like Halo 3's Chief and the Arbiter. I think that just having his presence in battle next to you would just make everything way more epic. You just turn around and you just see Atriox swinging his gravity hammer, taking out all of the Flood, or it could be the Endless, or it could be humanity. We don't really know at this point. But the possibilities for DLC are quite literally endless, and it does depend on what way 343 want to go with the story. The most logical way for me would be what I've spoke about, and you may ask, why is that the most logical choice? Well, the lore links up. There's a Flood Silex on Halo Infinite already, so we know the Flood are there somewhere. The Flood are the remnants of the Primordial, which was a precursor. The Endless, from what we can deduct, are of course also remnants of Precursors, so they are basically the same thing in a way. So it would make a lot of sense for the Endless to be immune to the Flood's infections. The Banished want to be the most powerful faction in the world, but get done over by the Endless because they're only using the Banished in order to try and get what they want, and that's the mantle. As soon as they've got it and humanity failed or have lost the war, the Banished are needed no more. They're then betrayed by the Endless, and then the Endless release the Flood to try and completely wipe out the Banished and humanity from being a threat to them. And of course, to get one back at the Forerunners. The Forerunners gave humanity the mantle, and what better way to kick the Forerunners in the face than to wipe out the species that they gave the mantle to? I don't know, I just think it makes a lot of sense, and I would love for it to go this route. I would really, really like it, and if I do guess what this is, man, I need a job on 343's writing team, because that would just be ridiculous. But guys, do let me know down below in the comments what you think. Let me know, of course, what you think the DLC is going to be, and of course, what you think my theory is like as well. But guys, don't forget to subscribe, like if you did enjoy the video, turn notifications on. Speak soon, guys. Take care. We'll see you guys tomorrow.